Hello, my name is Tyler Constable with Avantra, and welcome to our short video on running Avantra with our cloud partner, AWS. If you or your team are responsible for managing an SAP environment on AWS, are considering going to AWS, or are running a hybrid environment, this video is for you. In this short video, we're going to talk a little bit about combining the capabilities of Avantra with combining the capabilities of AWS and how that combination can help run a stable, secure, and healthy environment, and maybe even control some of your AWS cloud costs as well. So I'm going to go over a quick overview, go through a quick couple of examples, and then we'll actually get in and see how this works live in an environment. So first off, when we talk about automation with Avantra on AWS, we really mean the full stack. And by that, we mean starting at the top, the SAP layer, and what Avantra can do to automate at that layer, the database layer, the operating system, and then really today the focus is going to be on this bottom layer, the public cloud layer, or the AWS layer, and what we can do there. So things like starting and stopping. If we start and stop at the AWS layer, we really need that whole start process and stop process to occur within the database and SAP layer as well. Very, very important. So a couple of quick examples where this becomes very, very helpful. Let's say we have a very simple environment. We just have development, quality, and production, right? And we have a BW landscape and an ECC landscape, and maybe some tax software in there. And we want to help control our cloud costs on AWS. So what we can do is actually shut down, let's just say, non-production systems over the weekend, right? Maybe we still need production to be available over the weekend, but we don't need development, we don't need quality up and running on Saturday and Sunday. So essentially, we can bring down 2/3 of our environment 2 out of 7 days out of the week, right? Saturday and Sunday. So that can be some significant cloud cost savings for you. But to make this happen, what has to happen is Avantra is going to shut down the, let's say the BW system first, bring down that database, bring down that actual server on AWS as well. Perhaps there's some tax software, run a script to stop that software, and then do the same with ECC. One step at a time, and then Monday morning, bring everything back up again. Now that is an example of scheduling automation. It can also be trigger-based, right? Now in this example, we're going to do something with ServiceNow. Now you may or may not be running ServiceNow. The ServiceNow part is not necessarily relevant, but if it is, a nice value add here. In this situation, Avantra recognizes that there's not enough dialogue work processes in the SAP system. Now, what that means is there's these little work processes that occur in the SAP application layer. And that's not something that AWS monitoring is going to see. Anything that's OS level monitoring is not going to see that as well. So it's going to take Avantra to recognize, hey, there's not enough dialogue work processes. And if these dialogue work processes fill up, that means some massive hang time in our environment and technically could be a down environment, kind of a frozen system. So Avantra recognizes beforehand, before they fill up, it's going to say, hey, it looks like these things are filling up. I'm going to go up and start up an additional AWS server and additional SAP application server, or additional SAP instance that's going to have more work processes so we can scale out. Now, right now, these are pre-built servers and pre-built application servers. Avantra is going to go out and start them up. So essentially, the nice thing about this is because they're shut down, there's not much cost to them. So what's unique about this now is historically, when you think about architecting an SAP environment, you have to build it out using resources in mind that are going to be able to handle worst case scenario, right? So that one time a year where you're going to have a ton of people on the system, and you're going to have a lot of processing going on. Maybe that's only for a busy season, right? Maybe it's only a week or two long, or maybe a month long, or maybe it's only during like year-end closing that this takes place. But for the other 364 days out of the year, 360 days out of the year, 350 days out of the year, the system has to run with all these resources. Now, on AWS with Avantra, that can all be scaled in, so you don't have to run like that. And then when Avantra recognizes that something's occurring, go out and those resources are needed, Avantra can go out and start automation to start those up. So let's go through how this is actually set up. So I'm going to go into Avantra here. And the first thing we need to do is go into our configuration and go into our integrations. And here we have our integration into AWS. Very, very simple on how to get this information out of AWS. There are pre-built APIs ready to go. So it's just going to require some authentication for your specific environment. We have got some great documentation on how to get all this, but essentially all it is user credentials and access key ID and an access key secret. From there, you are ready to go. Next thing we do is we go into our automation setup. So here we have an example automation ready to go with no steps defined yet. So let's define some steps. Let's go through that example of the not meeting non-production systems over the weekend. So the first thing I'm going to do here is I'm going to stop BW development and quality, right? So I'm going to write stop BW. Now, when it comes to Avantra's automation, we have a lot of pre-built automation ready to go. We can also use scripting, where this now becomes a complete platform where you can pretty much automate anything you want, right? So we understand that there's a mix of needs here where we wanted some pre-built things and also some flexibility to do whatever you'd like. What we need to do for this particular situation is pre-built in Avantra, and that is just stop our SAP system, the database, and the AWS server. So I'm going to come in here and select those two systems, right? Now, when it comes to Avantra starting and stopping systems, it could be one system, it could be 1,000 systems, doesn't matter. And if this particular step fails for stopping BW, I want to retry. And I now have my first step here. Now, the second step is to stop some tax software. Now, for this is a unique request, so we need to use the platform capabilities and build out a script to do so. So I'm just going to use stop tax software. And in here, I'm going to scroll down and just go into my scripting capabilities. I can run a command from the OS itself, SSH, JavaScript, whatever you'd like. And here, I don't have the script readily available. I'm just going to use the word script and select what system I want that to run on. And now we have our second step, our second job step. Lastly, we're going to stop ECC. Stop ECC non-prod. And I'll come in here and do stop SAP system and servers. And then I just select which two I would like, right? Again, or 100, doesn't really matter. And if this step fails, I will have to retry as well. Now, the nice thing about this is as Avantra goes through job step number 1, if something fails, it will not move on to step 2 until step 1 completes successfully, unless I want it to just continue on. That's a selection I can do if I'd like. I can have it email me if something occurs that I want to be aware of, if we can email me. But in this situation, this is going to be a schedule-based automation. So I'm going to come in and select when I would like it to run. So every week at Friday at 4:17 p.m. Okay, just as an example. So I now have my schedule ready to go. And of course, I'll do the exact opposite for Monday, where I just bring everything back up again, probably in the opposite order. Now, this is, again, schedule-based. We can also have it be trigger-based. We talked a little bit about that such scenario where there's not enough dialogue work processes, and we need to go out and start up an additional AWS server, an additional SAP application server. And really, those are sleeping, pre-built, ready to go. So where I need to go for this is, first off, I'm going to go look at some monitoring, right? So I'm going to go into a particular system. If you're not familiar with Avantra, essentially, I'm going in to look at one particular SAP system, and I'm looking at the real-time monitoring. So essentially, the health of this environment right now. And as I scroll down here to my work processes, I'm going to click in and find out more information. And here I can see that the dialogue work processes, these DIA ones, are starting to fill up. And if they do, and that could mean a down system, it's going to at least mean that the system's going to be appearing to have some very poor performance. So Avantra recognizes this and says, all right, I need to go out and run some automation to start up that additional application server. And again, earlier I talked about you could go through ServiceNow to go through a workflow process if you wanted to. But in this scenario, let's just go right into the automation. Avantra recognizes that this is occurring, goes out and runs the automation to stand up that additional server. So let's quick set that up as well. I just deleted the last step that we just did, but here we're just going to start AWS server. Oops. And in here, I'll come down to the start server. Here's my start cloud server. I select what server I want it to connect to. And then the next step here, let's see, we don't have any in this particular example here. We're going to start SAP instance. And this is, again, the application server. We're going to start up here. And in here, we're just going to do start SAP instance. And I'll select which instance I want to start up. And now I have my automation ready to go to start up a fluid and now availability to scale out an SAP environment that's really never been heard of before. So I hope you found the short video on running Avantra on AWS helpful. If you would like to find out more information, please contact us or look at our website at www.avantra.com. Thank you.